All right, hi. So it's 1 o'clock UK time, and it's Monday, which means you're starting your week, and we should start it in the right way, which is the Q&A for startup businesses. So thanks for tuning in. This is episode number 23. I've moved now to my fan page, so those of you who are tuning in, thank you for doing so. It will be a bit of pain to start with, and that's how things are sometimes when you make a transition. But the profile page I have will continue to run, and in short, with the number of people adding themselves to the profile page, I felt this was a little wiser to go to the fan page, which is how you should do it anyway, really. So moving forward, this is where it will be, and on Thursday for the sales Q&A as well. So I've got a lot of questions. I printed off a load of them that will pretty much run us for an hour, and then we'll go from there. So let's start. So the first question, I'll just turn this off. First question has come through. Aside from the obvious benefits of guest blogging and being in a digital magazine, how can I entice people to submit 300 words a month in a blog and a mag? To me, it's common sense to do it, which is why I'm having a hard time getting submissions. Our traffic isn't what we'd use as an incentive. So I think what's being asked here is someone here is running a digital magazine and wants people to guest blog, and they're having a hard time getting people to actually do it. So if you can't talk about the traffic, which is essentially your audience you can show off about, then you need to talk about a real reason why someone should join something. Look, if you're trying to get people to guest blog, okay, or to contribute or something like that, you need to go beyond just why don't you do it because it's relevant. And one of the things I teach a lot, especially when I'm coaching in sales, is that relevancy isn't good enough nowadays to sell people. So what this really means is that you need to go beyond that and tap into people's why a bit more, as it's known. You need to go into a bit more of an explanation of your mission, because here's the thing, emotion is the real reason why someone buys something. They have to really feel it. They have to feel to themselves, you know what, I buy into this guy, or I buy into this idea, and so that's why I'm going to do something. So just to kind of nail this one, if you're trying to get people to write for your digital magazine, to submit 300 words twice a month, asking them just to do it isn't going to be compelling enough, okay? In the same way as asking someone to do anything isn't going to be compelling enough unless there's a reason, as in a what is in it for me, answered on their behalf. So a good example here is, you know, if you were going to have your picture somewhere, then where would you prefer it would be? Well, you'd prefer it would be somewhere where lots of people are going to look at it. And if you say here your traffic isn't what you would like it to be as an incentive, well, then it needs to be the kind of the brand in terms of what it's all about. So use that. You need to start saying things like, look, I want it to be the case that this particular digital publication or this blog achieves this set of values. I want it to be that this particular edition, which has this content, achieve these things. And for those people who do read it, we're going to try and help them because of X, Y, and Z. So if you get people to tap into why you're around and why you're doing what you're doing, then you'll probably find that they'll feel a little bit more compelled to, you know, reach out and help you, I suppose. So bear that in mind. It's not just, oh, you're relevant, so you should do it. It should be more about saying, look, if you are keen on, or rather if you're aligned with my message, on the same wavelength as me, and trying to achieve the same kind of things, well, then that's why you should be doing this. And that's ultimately why people would buy something in the first place, because they believe in either you or your mission or what you have to stand for, you know, your values and things like that. So I hope that helps. Next question. Love the latest video on cold calling. Well done. Thank you very much. If you haven't seen that, that was, I think it was about a week or so ago. I have a topic I'm struggling with, and I'd love to ask your thoughts. A lot of people I've been speaking with recently have started businesses, so B2C, and they're struggling with cold outreach. I'm in the same boat, seeing as my ads budget is only $30 a week. Is there a way to reach out to people and provide value without coming across as spam? If all you have is time and information, how do you package that to deliver it to a cold market? Look, really good question, and as usual with these kind of questions, it depends really. If you're trying to engage with people, then you need to be thinking that you need to get a bit more buy-in. $30 isn't necessarily much of an ads budget, so you need to be thinking, right, what can I would even just leave the $30. I would just say, right, what can I do with traffic that I generate from providing value? So bear in mind that if you want someone to buy into you, with your kind of products, you need to be thinking, I need to generate trust in me. I need to generate comfort surrounding a relationship with me. That's why people buy things as well. And so that relies on you to provide regular, good quality, value-led content. I talk about this all the time. If you just go out there with the agenda of regularly, as in every day, trying to help people, you'll find that you get a huge amount in return. And that's how you're going to get cold potential prospects more interested in liking you. Okay, it starts at zero. You start with no one interested in the slightest in what you're doing, and you have to constantly give and help and give out some value, and you get noticed then as the guy who knows their stuff. That in turn is going to help you to get a load of buy-in from these cold people, and then they're on that what I describe as a conveyor belt, if you like, coming towards you, because they're being more and more bought into your story and your narrative. As a result, then they'll want to engage with you because they feel they trust you. They feel like they get to know they're getting to know you as well. And when people think they know you, they will feel more comfortable with engaging with you. That's of course if they like what you have to say for yourself. So another way to do things is just, if you're looking at higher ticket products, and if you can call these people, then do that too. Get them on the phone and call them. If it's possible with prospects, then you should be doing that, because nothing beats being direct. But even then, you should be focusing on being just engaging with a view to opening them up to begin with, and then take it from there. So hopefully that helps. But yeah, with B2C businesses, it doesn't change the fact, and this is something that has been mentioned a lot lately, is there a difference between B2B and B2C? There isn't, because in both scenarios you're selling to people. The agendas might be different. You might even be wearing more of a business hat or mentality, but you're still a person with the same needs, and in the sense of having to have an emotional or emotion-led decision-making process to buying things. So just bear that in mind. You're engaging with people. It doesn't matter if it's a businessman or someone working at home, or someone just sitting around doing nothing all day. They still are emotion-led when it comes to making decisions. I think once you're generating a bit of an audience, though, with this cold audience, if you like, that's when you could use, if you've only got $30, you should use that advert budget, in my view, to retarget those same people with adverts. Okay, so if you have ads you want to use, then you can use it, and you can target specifically the people who have already looked at your stuff. So they become, as they're warming up, then they see your adverts as well, which pings them into a webinar or something else, some kind of a low ticket, high value product that gets them into your value ladder. Next question. Hello Richard, how are you? I watch your videos daily. Great job. Thank you very much. I'd like to know a little bit more about Facebook targeting. Is there a specific reason why I'm not able to target an audience so that they convert properly on my website? If you could help, I'd appreciate it. Thank you. First off, I'm involved a lot with this kind of thing. What I would say is that there are experts out there whose entire world is Facebook ads. And these people are, and I know a few in particular, who operate with multi-million-pound budgets. Their ad spend is like $1 million a day with some clients. So these guys are spending a lot, and they know exactly how to generate a lot of return. What I do think is that, because I haven't seen your website, I don't even know what you do. So you need some more detail here. But the two things are crucial when it comes to your Facebook targeting. Okay, so firstly, your posts, call them an advert or whatever, your posts must have a message that the audience you're trying to reach, that's going to resonate with them. Okay, so you need to flip the mentality of I want to speak to them, and you need to imagine you are them and ask yourself, well, what kind of views would they have? What would they like to hear? What kind of mindset do they have? What kind of language would they respond to? What can I say that's going to make it interesting for them? So look at a message from your audience perspective. Are they going to really respond to it? Are you in a saturated market full of people being really cheesy and spammy? How are you going to sound different to that, for instance? The other thing to bear in mind, because you're talking about getting them to convert on your website, and very good, by the way, it's not about traffic, it's about conversions, is the actual landing page itself. So when your message is right, you know, this is the thing, you may well be engaging with audience that loves what you're doing, you have a great message, and when they go through to your website, they then switch off and don't convert. And that's because the landing page on your actual website isn't particularly very good. So think on that. What's the user experience like when they come into your website? Okay, what do they see? How are they welcomed? Is there an auto playing video? Is there pop-ups and spam everywhere they're not going to be interested in? Have you got, you know, third-party adverts on your website? Get all that kind of crap off there. Make it look like it's welcoming and designed to help them understand what it is that you do. You also want it to follow on from the message you give. So your adverts and your posts, wherever they may be, they need to then come over in terms of the message onto your website as well. So make sure there's some sense of flow. Whatever you're talking about in your messages and your ads, that needs to be have some follow through onto your website as well. Just because then it feels like it's the same person and that dialogue is continuing, if you like. Also think about restrictions. Make sure it's not restrictions everywhere for people to gain more information on what you're doing. So if someone lands on your page, is it easy to navigate? Is it the case you have to sign in or log in information or fill in some stupid pop-up before you can actually get anything done? You know, there's a time and a place. Let a pop-up come a bit later on, maybe, if you must. But on your website, make it the case that when they come on board, it's simple to understand what you do, and the action that you want them to take in order to convert is also very convenient. Don't make it in their face so they have to do it, because they might turn them off. Lead them to it, okay, through a process of continued selling, okay, so they feel like they are getting more value by coming to the website, and then they'll feel more compelled to take an action. Okay, so bear in mind those two things. Firstly, what actually is your message? Is it the kind of thing that your audience is going to have resonating with them? And the second thing, of course, is what happens on your landing page. You know, when they get to the website, is it helping to convert them, or is it hindering by being in the way, not being clear, being vague, whatever it might be? Make things continue in terms of a message through from the ad to the site. Next question, how do I share the success of my first sale on social media? I don't think people will think my business is very good if I only had one sale. Most of my followers might assume that I'm already selling many more than that, so reporting my first sale might confirm to them my products aren't very good. What's your thoughts on this? So here this is a thing that happens all the time, where you've got someone who has is trying to work on the perception that they have a successful business, it's been working for a while, it's doing a good job, and then they get their first sale, they're very excited, and you should be sharing the good news about your your sales. You should be celebrating your customers. You should be, if it is appropriate, sharing how wonderful it is that they are engaged, not in a showy way, but just thanking them, but in public, because that kind of what's known as social proof is a really strong way of making people feel like, oh, okay, I should pay attention because other people are enjoying this. So let's look at this. If you have a business that looks very established, you're absolutely right that whoever wrote this in, that you don't want to be posting just got my first sale. Even if it's exciting for you, that's not necessarily going to help your perception. Don't lie, but just omit some information. Don't say I got my first sale, because people might think negatively of your business. They might think, oh, they've only just started out. But what you might want to do is say something like, just got a sale from wherever, or it was great to open my inbox to a sale like this today, or always nice if you get these kind of emails. None of those are saying that I get, hundreds of sales every day. None of those are saying it's my first sale. The belief will be, when reading it, probably that you get them all the time, but you're just sharing this particular one. So think on that. You want to share as many of them as you can, because then it shows that there's this constant flow of buying going on, and then people might as well take an interest in it, because human curiosity is something that's very valuable when it comes to selling. So I think go easy on the idea of holding it back, share it, but in a different way. If I got, for instance, a sale in LA, I'd say, oh great, shipping out to LA today, wonderful to see this. Do a little screenshot of the person buying it, you know, if they sent a message or something like that, cut out their details, of course, or, you know, something interesting. You could put first sale of our newer product or something like that if you've got a new release or a new launch or something. So just think, yeah, perception is everything. It doesn't mean hold it back, just maybe redress the information. It may be your first sale. Why would you talk about the first sale? Talk about the fact it is a sale, or someone's gone for a new type of Snapchat cards, or just make out almost like, do you know what, I do this kind of thing all the time. You're not going to say you do or not, but you just say, look, this is you know, it's always nice to get these kind of emails. Is a lovely way of putting it. Okay, or just thank the person. Thanks to this guy for buying some of our cards today. Wonderful to be able to ship out products to your part of the world. Simple. Nothing about that suggests it's the first sale. Nothing about that suggests I get thousands of sales. And that's a good way of approaching it. Okay. Next question. So, is it wrong to have a poll, so like a vote, if I already know the answer will implement? I.e., should we have a speakers conference in the fall? Yes or no, etc. Okay, so I think it'd be a good, just a good marketing tool to get the word out. Yeah, so what this person is asking is, I know I'm going to do something. Is it worth me sharing like a survey? Should we do this? Yes or no? When I know what I'm going to do anyway. The answer is yes, it is. Because here's what's happening. Firstly, you might get a result that you never expected. If everyone's like, no, we would never go to that, then it makes you rethink, okay? If everyone's like, yeah, hell yeah, then what you've done is you've brought it to people's attention. As you rightly said, it's a marketing tool there. But what you're also doing is if you release a poll or a survey, for instance, I did this recently and it's influenced me. I wrote a poll in the 8-Step Startup group. So it's 1,300 members there that I've selected to join, and I've written in it, so what would you like the next course to be on? And all the different list of different things. I was going to do it on finance anyway, because people talk about finance with me all the time, asking me if I could give them advice on it. Originally it had been on sales, but I've produced that now in the Basics of Sales course. And interestingly, it was overwhelmingly, it was like 70 or 80% of people said yes on finance, please, out of all the options. Now I was going to do it anyway, but what's happened here is, as well as confirming what I was going to do, which is a good idea, right, rather than the arrogance of going off what I think, all I'm also doing is starting the process of hype and getting people interested. Oh, he's going to be doing this course, and involving people gets a bit more buy-in as well. It makes them feel like they're part of the journey. And so including these people, who aren't just people, by the way, they're your audience, they're the people who are going to end up buying your product anyway, it's a really nice way of making them feel like they're part of it. Then you can share more updates. Thanks guys. I think I did this recently. It was something along the lines of, you know, you asked and so I did it. I can't remember what it was now, but I'm sharing the fact that I'm listening to my audience, and I think it was for a post that, yeah, that's what it was. It was on the gatekeepers that I did on Thursday last week. People wanted information on getting past a gatekeeper for cold calling, and so I produced that information. But also by saying that I did that, rather than just, you know, just doing it, it allows people to think, yeah, that's what I've wanted for a while. Brilliant, I'm part of that journey. Oh, it's coming out on Thursday, I can't wait for that. And so it brings in the hype, it gets people a bit more whipped up in it as well. Okay, next question. How often do you think I should do live videos? I'm going to include it in my schedule as a regular thing now. I mean, there's nothing to stop you doing them all the time. It's a really positive thing to be doing. You should be thinking about live videos very regularly, because it's a really great way to engage with your audience. If I had the choice, I'd be doing live videos even more than I am right now, because I find that it's a great way for people not just to interact with my content in the same way as they might with other content, but more importantly, it's another way for people to actually get a bit more of a vibe about who I am. Because when you're building a personal brand and you want people to buy into you, when it's actually you that people buy, for instance, for my consulting business, it's important that they get to feel who I really am, what I'm really like. And a judgment is a lot easier to make if I'm not just sat behind a quote I've stuck online. I'm actually live and here, and they can, to a degree, interact on a human level. So you should be doing as many as you can. It can become the thing you do. Some people do live videos literally all the time, they'll do it 3 or 4 or 5 times a day, and that's just their way of posting things. So get comfortable with it, get doing it. I think experiment with everything is a good idea. So I would say over time you will evolve the types of posts you do, and you'll probably find in fact that if you do the same thing always, it will get a bit stale. So I would say there's nothing to stop you doing loads of Facebook Lives. And look, they don't have to be like an hour long like this sometimes it is. They can be a lot shorter. It could be 2 minutes or something like that. If you've got an idea, you want to share some value, then go do that. And then you're done. That's the video over with. I know someone who often goes in their back garden, and if it's raining, they'll do a video of it for Facebook Live, and they'll talk about how they feel, and then that's it. It's 2 minutes and that's over. So yeah, you should be doing live videos as much as you can. There's no harm in doing lots of it. It's probably more beneficial than not doing that many, and there's no magic number in terms of the amount of times you do Facebook Live videos. It's a fantastic way for people to engage with you, probably as good as it gets short of having an actual Skype call, because they can even message you as well. Okay. Besides your family, what is your primary driver? What makes you work so hard and continue relentlessly? That's a bit of a touchy-feely question, so that's no problem. Yeah, in terms of the actual reason why I work so hard, I suppose, and the reason why I focus on myself is really simple. What I try and do is I focus on the reasons why I should do things for me. Because actually the main thing I say is I do things for my family to make sure my family are well looked after, but the reason why my family is important to me because it's part of me. So you should be trying to always do your best to improve your potential, or rather to meet your potential. And if you feel like you're going to let yourself down by not working your hardest or being the best you can, and if you feel that in the future you might look back at yourself perhaps as something or someone that you maybe even resent the lack of effort that you put in, well then in fact what you should be doing is really pushing yourself to be the best you can. And inherent in being the best you can, you're also going to help as a knock-on effect your family too. So I would say my primary driver is being at my absolute best potential. I'm very, very self-aware, but I'm also very aware of, where I am in my life. This could be my last day on the earth, but it also could be, typically speaking, as a 36-year-old, I'm probably 2/3 of the way through my life or so. And so as a result, then I need to try and make the most of it, because with age does come the ability to see things in different ways, but also come ailments typically, and a problem in the sense that I may not be able to do as much or run as hard as I could. So I need to make the most of the fact that I'm very fortunate to be young and able, and as a result I need to push it now because I can, so that I enjoy it myself and my family even more in the future and continue it when I'm unable to. So I'm kind of looking after my future self as well. But if you aren't pushing yourself to be the best you can for you, then of course not fulfilling your potential is a crying shame, because it's it's a disappointing waste of a life, really, I suppose. So there's my touchy-feely answer to your touchy-feely question. Okay, so what's your opinion on switching onto an Instagram business account? Seems like there are advantages and disadvantages of both. Well, look, I think an Instagram business account essentially is going to allow you to do adverts, and it's going to allow you to do get insights and things like that, so analytics and whatnot. I mean, I don't know what this person does for a business, but what I would say is that I have got fantastic engagement from, as I was mentioned earlier, from everyday people, but those who run businesses. Okay, so whilst it's B2B, arguably, because I'm coaching companies, the person who is on Instagram is in a C kind of position, consumer, if you like. So I'm B2Cing it as well. The person is who I'm engaging with, and I get great traction from putting the content up I do and getting messages from people every single day who are interested in it, and I can take it from there. So I personally at this stage, don't feel there's any real need to have a business account on Instagram. If you believe that Instagram's your thing and you want to be using adverts and you need, of course, to get stats on that, then that's no problem. That's fine. That probably is something worth looking into. Okay, but I don't think there's any more point in doing it. So we'll finish there. Thanks very much for listening in, and it's a bit of a shorter one today. I was just trying to work it onto my page. In future will be here as well, so Richard Moore fan page, and then on Thursday at 1 o'clock we'll have the same again. In the meantime, thanks very much for tuning in, and for all of you who watch this later on, it's wonderful that you're doing it. If you don't yet like this fan page, then do so please, and share, because we had great traction through the profile, but things need to move on now for scaling purposes. We're going to need to be on the fan page moving forward. In the meantime, have a great week and a great Monday. Thank you so much. Speak to you soon.